Okay, question 36. You have h of x equal to 1 over x minus 5 squared plus 4 times x minus 5 plus 4. Okay, question is, for what value of x is the function h above undefined? All right. So here we first need to know what are we looking for here, okay? So you want this function to be undefined. And this function, we look at this is a fraction, right? So you have this really giant fraction here. But if you have a fraction, the fraction is undefined if we have 0 in the denominator. Okay, so for any fraction, we cannot have 0 in the on the bottom. Okay, so we cannot have 0 on the bottom. So that means the denominator cannot be 0. So if we divide by 0, that's undefined. Okay, so what we can then say is our goal here is to try to figure out for what x value will make the denominator equal to 0. Okay, so whatever that number is, that will be our answer. Okay, so we do have to solve this here. If we take the bottom, the denominator, we'll say x minus 5 squared plus 4 times x minus 5 plus 4. And we can set this whole thing equal to 0. Okay, and we're trying to solve for x. Okay, so we're trying to solve for x here. Since this is not a multiple choice, right, it will be really hard to try and error. You could try them, right? But if you don't have answer choices, that might take a while, right, to try. So let's just go ahead and if you solve it algebraically, right, what we have to do is we can first multiply everything out. Okay, and then this x minus 5 squared, we can expand this first and then multiply this out, and then we can distribute the 4 here for the 4 times x minus 5, distribute and multiply the 4 to get 4x minus 4 times 5, that would be 20, and then plus 4 equal to 0. Right, and then we multiply this part out. We had to do FOIL, and we had to distribute and multiply everything out. So do x times x is x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. And then we do negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And we do negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. Right? And then everything else, we have all that. Okay. And once we have that, we can try to simplify this a little bit and combine like terms. So we have x squared. And then minus 5x, that's negative 10x plus 4x will be negative 6x. Right, 25 minus 20 is 5 plus 4 is 9. That's equal to 0. Right, so after we simplify, we should get x squared minus 6x plus 9 equal to 0. And then we can simplify this, or excuse me, we can factor this because we have a quadratic here. And we factor this, we have the leading term is x squared. So it should be x and x. Right, and then if you look at the last term is a positive 9. So we're looking for two numbers. We multiply, we get 9. And we add them together, we get negative 6 in the middle. And so that should be, had to be 3 and 3, right? And both should be negative because we had negative 3 times negative 3, we get positive 9. And we add them together, we get negative 6. Right? So it's x minus 3 times x minus 3 equals 0. And to solve for x, once we have the factors, you can set each factor equal to 0. And solve for x, so we get x equal to 3. That will be one solution. While the other one is exactly the same, right? So we get the same solution. So both factors give us x equal to 3, and that should be our final answer here. All right, so for this question, for any fraction thing as a rational function, the denominator cannot be 0. right? Another thing that's related to this, right? If you have a square root, like a radical function, what happens is under the square root, whatever under cannot be negative. Okay, so it had to be, if we have an x here, x had to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so if you have a square root, that's what we had to do there for this, for that. Okay, but for this question, we'll just say denominator cannot be 0. All right, so that's it for number 36.